Yo, I actually can't believe I've been a trainee for a year. Do you know how wild that is? Okay, no. As promised, I did say I would come on and give you my like raw and unfiltered thoughts about how being a trainee in a US firm in London has been like over the past year. So before we get into the juicy details, please do make sure that you like, comment, subscribe, give me a follow on Instagram. But yeah, let's get straight into this video. Okay, cool. So I think there's so many different things that I could talk about in this video. I think I'm definitely going to touch on my expectations, what my expectations were like when I first found out I was going to become a trainee, and then how it's kind of matched up over the past year. The whole work-life balance thing, everyone's always asking about that. So I'm going to give my little 2 cents on work-life balance. Tasks, I suppose that could probably tie into expectations as well. And then also just that general professional development, because I didn't even realize it in the moment, but as I've kind of sat back to reflect, I have grown a lot over the past year. So there's a lot to kind of tuck into. Make sure you got some snacks, make sure you got your pen and paper if you really care about what it's like. But make sure you got some snacks at the very least, because I'm going to throw in a couple of stories here and there. So first things first, what were my expectations? Well, I think, do you know what? I even need to go back a little bit before I found out I got my training contract. From early, so from like really, really young, I knew I wanted to become a lawyer. And I was told by like my parents, family, like all that kind of stuff. Like I was just told it's a really difficult industry. So I think I always kind of had the expectation that it was going to be hard work. I kind of always knew that. I didn't really know what about it was going to be hard. I didn't really know the ins and outs because I didn't have like lawyers in the family or anything like that. But I was kind of bracing myself for the fact that, okay, I'm entering an industry which is going to be challenging. Obviously, I'm going to be able to rise to the challenge, but like it is going to be challenging, right? So I think I always kind of had realistic, should I say, expectations, in the sense that I didn't think, I was going to come in and just like make loads of money and like be flying everywhere and like not have to work some late nights or anything like that. Like that was never really my thought process. In terms of what I've experienced, and I think before we go into what I've experienced, I would say that I obviously started my training contract like in the peak of a pandemic. So I did to be fair, I'm still kind of working from home. We're in a hybrid situation at the moment, so I'm not in 5 days a week. But for the first 6 months at the very least, I was completely at home. I think I went into the office like twice. Yeah, I went in twice because the office was open, but at the height of the pandemic, there was absolutely no requirement to go in at all. So I wasn't in all that much at all at the beginning of my training contract. So I think that has definitely impacted the way my expectations have been met. But anyway, that's that. So let's just get into it. How have I actually found this past year? It's been a year. Like it's been interesting. And I think those who have been following my journey like pretty closely, like my close friends and stuff like that, they have seen how it's been for me. I think the first thing I'll probably look at is the work-life balance in terms of the expectations. Going into big law, I always knew that there were long hours in big law, so I was never disillusioned with that. And I think before I joined big law, I don't know if the word is fortunate or unfortunate, but the part-time jobs that I had done, they had always kept some interesting hours. So I used to do things like working in Tesco's, but I would do the night shift, or like I would work as a telephone fundraiser at university after lectures and stuff like that. So I've been very used to like working the evenings or working in the AMs and stuff like that. That's not something that's foreign to me. And I think because this training contract is my first official 9 to 5, quote unquote, post-education, so post-university, I don't actually have anything to compare this to. There is nothing where I can say, okay, like, yeah, I'm very used to like logging on at 9:30, logging off at 5 or whatever. Like I've never had that. So going in, I did have some long hours in the beginning, and by long hours, I'm talking, I think even in like the first couple of weeks, so after training, I mean the first proper weeks of work, like I was finishing around like 9 p.m. But on reflection, like when I look back at it, that wasn't even because there was all that much work to do, because I was a first seat trainee, didn't know anything. Like nobody was even giving me anything that difficult. It was more just because I didn't really understand like the most efficient ways to do things in terms of tech. So there are a lot of different like IT tools and stuff that you can use to make things like proofreading or comparisons or even inputting comments and stuff like that, it can be a lot quicker when you know how to utilize these tech tools. But I didn't know how to do that, so I was just making a lot of things a lot longer for myself. And then also because I had just joined, like, I don't know, it just kind of, the way my brain works, if you give me instructions, something that should take me like 5 minutes to understand, the first time you tell me, I can't lie, it's going to take me like half an hour, maybe even an hour to really wrap my head around it. So I think because it was just taking me longer to get things were just taking longer to finish, right? But as this year has gone by, one thing I've realized with this whole work-life balance thing is that there are 3 main kind of types of day in transactional seats, should I say, actually, because I've not actually done a contentious seat. So let me just, you know, say that all of this is based off of all the work I've done in transactional seats. I feel like there's 3 types of days. So there are the days where like you log on at 9 and you log off at a normal time, quote unquote. So maybe you log off at like, I don't know, 6:30, 7 or something like that, right? That's your bog standard day. You don't really have anything closing, nothing major is happening in the transaction. It's just you've got a couple of legal opinions, a couple of things to review, that kind of thing. Then you've got your days where like you start at like 9 as usual, and then you might not actually have anything to do in the afternoon, maybe because you're working with some teams in other countries. So like, especially if we're working with the US, for example, US doesn't normally come online until 2 p.m. UK time. So you might have done like everything you need to do by like 11 a.m. and in between 11 and 2, it's ghost, it's silent, because the team you're working with is not up yet, right? So you kind of have to wait for them to get up, and then you start working again from like 2 p.m. And then you find that you're probably going to finish working at like 8, 9, but it's because you had a 3-hour gap in the middle of the day. So there's that kind of long day. And then there's a long day where like you did just genuinely have like 4 or 5 deals that all happen to be closing at the same time, and it's just all manic at the same time. So you are just unfortunately doing like a 9 a.m. to like a 2 a.m. or whatever. Cool. I feel like once you get your head around what the different types of days might be like and what the structure of different transactions are, and then how long each task you are given generally takes, this whole work-life balance thing is actually not as bad as it seems like it could be. Now, that's just my personal experience, but like, I'm saying this in the sense that like, I've still had holidays. So over the course of my training contract, I've been to St. Lucia, I've been to Portugal, I've been to Ghana. I still go to the theatre with my friends. I still celebrate birthdays. I've still done the things that I personally feel like I want to do in terms of my work-life balance. I still create all of this content on YouTube. Like, I still do all the stuff that I personally enjoy. I still go to dance classes and I still get all my work done. So it's something that took me a while, I'll be honest. And when I first started, I did stop going to like my dance classes. I didn't make as much content when I first started. I did still go on holiday. That one, we don't compromise on my holidays. But do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like in the beginning, whilst I was trying to settle in, yes, there was a bit less of a work-life balance, but that's because I was trying to figure out what was going on. Once I kind of felt like I had figured it out, the whole work-life balance thing wasn't all that bad. So that's what I would say on that, and that's the kind of reflection I have on that. The other thing that I wanted to touch on in this video is the nature of tasks. So I'm going to say typical trainee tasks, and I'm saying it in inverted commas because I think typical trainee tasks are dependent on a couple of things. Like I said, I've only done transactional seats, so obviously in contentious seats, the task will be a bit different. But also, these tasks are based on you having a typical deal makeup, and by that I mean the deal team is going to be like a partner, a senior associate, a junior associate, and a trainee. That's like your typical deal makeup. However, you don't always have that deal makeup. Sometimes you might be on a deal where it's just like a trainee and a partner, or you might be on a deal where it's like a senior associate, a partner, and a trainee. So like here and there might be somebody missing, or there may be a couple of other people. Like maybe there'll be a partner, 2 senior associates, 2 junior associates, and a trainee. So different ways that deal teams can be made up, but depending on how it is, trainees will have particular tasks that is generally expected of the most junior member of the team. Those tasks include things like making sure the document is perfect, quote unquote, to go out. So the proofreading, the cross-reference checking, the definitions check, general even like sense check sometimes, because again, when you're working with global clients, if all the documents are in English and that client's first language is not English, there's certain grammatical things that they might not like think to change when they're sending over their comments. So you, when you're inputting comments, need to make sure that you're checking like, are you still getting the meaning that this particular client or person who's inputting the comment wants, but is it still in the correct and proper English, like all that kind of stuff. So there's those kind of typical trainee tasks, and I found that across the course of the year, the tasks that have been delegated to me have kind of moved away from being those typical trainee tasks to being more the typical junior associate tasks. And typical junior associate tasks tend to be things like the first draft of a particular document. So that has been quite enjoyable. I've liked that because I think it's allowed me to see more of the law. Having said that, I think in doing the typical trainee tasks, I've learned to appreciate the value that those typical trainee tasks have. And what do I mean by that? There have been times where like I've been sent a document and someone's been like, oh, can you proofread it? And looking at like the stuff that I have on my plate, I could in theory send it to document services. So these are like a team in the firm who specialize literally on like working on documents. I could send it to them for them to do it, but then I kind of look at the situation and I'm just like, do you know what? This is probably the best chance that I'm going to have to be able to actually grapple with this document in detail. I'm going to be able to look at like each operating clause. I'm going to be able to see how this particular business that the document is writing about works. So yeah, let me actually just put in the comments myself, because it will give me that opportunity to do that. So I think there's definitely value in trainee tasks, and I think that's something that across the year I've learned to appreciate more and more. With all that being said, obviously if I'm completely slammed and I've got like other things to do, then I do just send it to document services and then I review it afterwards, because you know you have to be efficient with your time as well, right? But yeah, that's what I have to say on like typical tasks. Like I think it's definitely met what I wanted. I have worked with some amazing clients, like absolutely amazing clients, and I've worked on some really cutting edge deals, which is exactly what I wanted coming in. So that in that sense has definitely met my expectations. I'm really, really happy with like the tasks that I've been doing, and I know I've done some videos on the tasks I did in debt finance. I am yet to do the videos on the tasks that I've done in capital markets, but I will do that video so that you can have an idea of what the typical tasks are like there as well. The other area that I thought might be useful to kind of just reflect on is my personal development and my professional development. Now, so I think I've done this video, I did a 3-month review and I did a 6-month review as well. So go and check out those videos if you want to see like literally marker points across my training contract. But in this video, I actually really want to focus a little bit on professional development. So I've started doing this thing where once a month I do training just purely for professional development. So last month I did some training on how to set up like my professional development plan. And those of you who follow me on Instagram will know that I do have like this monthly kind of goal thing that I do. And one of those goals is always around my career as well. So I do kind of set goals around how I want to progress. But this professional development plan was really, really helpful, I think, for me in just reflecting on how I want to mold myself as a lawyer. And that's not really something that I had focused on by myself. So it was really, really helpful to go to that. And I think, again, like as I have progressed in my training contract, I've come to realize the importance of taking control of your professional journey. You shouldn't just kind of wait for people to just give you work or people to just say, do you have capacity, do this. You do actually, well, in my firm anyway, I don't know about everyone else's firm, but in my firm, you do have the opportunity to kind of be like, oh, I'm interested in X kind of work. Do you have any, like, do you need any help on that deal? Like, would you like me to work with you on this? Are you happy for me to sit in on some calls? That kind of thing. Like, you can definitely steer your career. And it's something that I have personally done. So I remember with one of the partners that I was working with, he was kind of just talking about the work that he does with ESG, and the kind of pitches that he does to clients with ESG and stuff like that. So I was just like off the cuff, you know, can trainees join this team? Like, can I join the ESG team? And he was just like, he doesn't know, but he's going to find out. And he found out, and now I'm in the ESG team. So you have control to be able to do things like that. And that's something that when I first started, it's not even that I didn't have the confidence to do it, but like I didn't even think to myself to do that kind of thing. Do you get what I mean? Like, so I'm just saying, if you're someone who's either an aspiring lawyer or you're going into your training contract, so you're going to be starting soon, yes, focus on getting your work product right and all that kind of stuff, but also think about like, what type of lawyer do you actually want to be? And depending on the type of lawyer you want to be, what steps do you need to start taking to get there? Like, what kind of training do you need? Who do you need to be talking to? Because maybe there's someone who's walked the path that you are looking to walk, that kind of thing. So that was really, really interesting for me as well. So I think those are the main things, like just in terms of expectation and what I've actually faced, that I've been thinking about over the past year. All in all, like, what are my key takeaways? How have I actually found it? Have I enjoyed it? Do you know what I have? I actually really have enjoyed it. And I think I've enjoyed it for a couple of different reasons. The first reason why I've enjoyed it is because when I was applying, I always said I want to do Africa work, I want to do emerging markets work, and I want to work with like really intelligent people. And my God, have I worked with some of the smartest lawyers I've ever seen in my life. Like, it's crazy. seeing the way someone's brain works when they're on a call and, you know, two lawyers are grappling with a particular clause, and one is saying, oh, well, the client wants this, and the other is saying, okay, well, if the client wants this, then let's edit it in this way. Like, just seeing that in real time, I don't think anything can top that for me. Like, that is really, really nice. The other thing that I really like, especially when I've done some financing work on some of the bigger kind of corporate deals, like the M&A deals or the PE deals, seeing the story, like the news story for some work that you have been a part of, that feeling is actually nice. Like, it gives me very, I don't know if you guys have watched Kingsman, but you know I like this kind of Kingsman movie. So like, you know, in his office, he's got like the news clippings of all of the different like plans he's foiled. So like when someone is trying to kill the world or whatever and he's like foiled it, he's got the news clippings. That's literally how I feel when I see different stories sometimes, like on LinkedIn or whatever, and I'm just like, I worked on that deal. You don't know, but I did work on it. So that has been a really nice feeling. I think the other thing that has been really, really nice as well that I've enjoyed is my development. I feel like I've actually seen myself grow. Like, it's weird. It's kind of like I've been like out of body and like watched myself, but I really do feel like I've seen myself grow as a trainee, which has been really, really nice to see. And I'm really happy with the way I've been growing and the way that I will hopefully continue to grow. Just to keep the video balanced though, like, I don't want you to think it's all rosy and dandy or whatever. There have been definitely some times where I've kind of been like, I'm tired. Like, I'm just tired. I just don't want to do it today. So those times have definitely come up. But I think one thing that has definitely helped with those times is my support system. I have a couple of like really close friends in my cohort, and then also in just trainees in general, who we kind of catch up on a regular basis, and we just debrief, like, just how are we feeling, how are we doing, how is work going, all that kind of stuff. And that has been so super helpful, so that on those days where I just feel like I am tired and I honestly just can't be bothered, I can still kind of like, you know, objectively be like, okay, but I love this job, like I do love what I'm doing, so I'm gonna keep going, kind of thing. So that has been really good. But yeah, like, honestly, I just hope this reflection video was helpful. If there's anyone out there who's either already got their training contract and they're about to start, or if you're thinking about becoming a solicitor or getting into the law, I hope this is really helpful for you. Because I think one thing for me growing up and when I was applying as well was that I would have really appreciated just having an honest and unfiltered review as to what life is actually like at the different kind of key points in the training contract. So that's why I try and do these reflection videos, to just kind of help you. But if you like this kind of content, please do make sure that you like, comment, subscribe, and I'll be back again soon with another video.